if I die alone, my children will suffer. There must be an alternative to killing myself. I was drowning in unforgiveness. I am actually amazed that the same woman that was drowning in pain, the same woman that was drowning in anger, is the same woman God uses to transform other people's lives. Heal your relationship first with yourself. You being hurt was not your responsibility, but you coming out of the hurt is actually your own responsibility. Have you given yourself that love? Women have dimmed their light. 3 things will affect you in life.
Now, I would like us to welcome our very able coach, Abby. She is a mentor. She is a mother. She is, well, I think I will let her introduce herself once again, right? There is so much more to say, right? So let us put our hands together and welcome her. Karibu sana, coach.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's give it up for our MC, Pam. Isn't she doing a great job? Yes. Unajua saa zingine mara ya kwanza, I ambushed her. I told her, anyone who has done my program, you are in for things. Because I have to make sure we are growing together. And so congratulations, Pam. We have come a long way with her. And I really thank God for her. There are 2 people I want to introduce to you. Bruce. So this is my son, my firstborn, Bruce. I just want him to say hi, and then I will introduce my daughter.
Hi. My name is Bruce. I'm the firstborn son to Coach Blessed Abby. I've come here to support her. Thank you. She's my sister, Beverly Neema. She's sitting down there. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoy the becoming her. Have a blessed day.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bruce. So she says her name is Beverly Neema. That's her sign name. Okay, thank you. So that's my second-born daughter, and I'm sure right now questions are on your mind, so I will be answering them. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. You know, when you put an ad out there, you cross your fingers. And this has been a journey. I've been on this journey for 3 years now. I have had moments that I called people and no one showed up. No one, like 0. And so to see this room full, because people are still coming, somebody tells me they are held in the Gachagua or whatever. One has just arrived. Karibu sana. Yeah, karibu sana. So people are still coming. I think in the afternoon will be more. It's an honor, and I really thank God for you. Thank you for trusting me. You know, there are so many coaches, so many counselors out there, but for somebody to trust you and show up for a call, because when you're doing that, you don't even know who will come. And so I appreciate you for finding it worthy to come and spend this time here with us. And I believe that we will not come out of this place the same. So as Pam said, my name is Coach Blessed Abby. That's a name I adopted after my transformational journey. My real name is Abigail Luvisia. And the reason I adopted that name is that before that, I never thought I was blessed. I used to think God, like her, I used to think God has favorites, that God doesn't hear my cry, He doesn't hear my prayer, because things had been tough. And I had grown up in a good background, a Christian background, but I just happened to have this very low self-esteem, feeling lost, feeling like I had nothing to offer. And so, you keep walking the journey of life. You go through school, you perform, performance-based life, where when you are position 1, and somehow I found myself becoming position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in school. And that was what used to affirm me. But it reaches a point that's no longer what will affirm you, because competition is no longer there. Is there competition in motherhood? Is there competition in being a wife? No. So at that point, I needed something bigger. And so I am a mother of 4. These are my 2 children. My other 2 are away, 2 boys, and a wife. And I am grateful for the far God has brought us. And throughout that journey, a time came, I remember, in around 2021. In 2021, no, actually 2020, I was feeling worthless. I was feeling like nobody. I was feeling like I don't belong anywhere. I am a lover of family. I am a lover of marriage. But my own marriage was going down the drain. You know the way a plane nosedives? Mine was nosediving. At that point, expectant with my son, who is now 5. And one day, I sat in my house. I remember I came from work and thought, now I need to punish this man because I felt he had hurt me. And because if I die alone, my children will suffer. Isn't that how we even think? So I sat down and thought, there was a petrol station. Now it's Ruby's. It was Engine then. I thought of how I will go buy petrol. It was a very good plan. I was going to buy jiko, make sure my children are asleep, light it, kwanza wa suffocate, alafu niwashe nyumba tuchomeke sisi wote. That's, I crafted the plan so nicely. So nicely. What stopped me was that fear of God in me. The little fear of God that tells me killing is a sin. And like, where will these children go? Why would I destroy them? And then this unborn child in my womb, he will not even have seen the light. And so I thought there must be an alternative to killing myself. My marriage is going down the drain. Things are not working. At that point, earlier before that, in 2014, my mother-in-law dies and life becomes tough. Like my husband and I are agreeing on nothing. Then 2015, my daughter here, who was born, actually, she was the earliest to talk of all my children. At 1.5, she was talking, she was hearing, she was bubbly. Then I come back home and she's pointing things, and I'm thinking, Bev, what's wrong with you? Her name is Beverly. We call her Bev. So I'm like, Bev, what's wrong with you? Why are you not talking? And at that point, we start the hospital journey. We are going to hospital, and we are told, no, there is hope. Until later, I think around 2017, where I went to Nairobi Hospital, and they now did a really clear text. And they told me, no, there is no hope. These years, of course, there is hope in God, but medically, there was no hope. And I can tell you, if there is something that I cried over, it is that one. I would take her to school, and I remember that song by Ada, Only You Can Do What No Man Can. I would play that song, and I would cry all the way to work. And then again, after that, now that became the onset of our marital problems, because when something happens, shakeups come. Now we are not agreeing, and then we didn't know how to handle it. We were still younger in marriage. I say younger because they are older people. So, but now I'm older than I was then. So we handled it wrongly, because instead of handling it together, for me, I tried to be the strong woman. the strong woman syndrome. So when my husband would come home, I am too strong. So he's wondering, how did I heal over his mother's death that fast? And how have I moved on and our daughter has lost her hearing? And it was chaos. And so at one point, I remember him leaving the country and later confessing to me, I had gone never to come back. Nilikuwa nimeamua niwatafutie pesa, you would be comfortable, I would settle you in your home, but never come back. But then thank God, in 2020, the way we go talking to friends, I talked to a friend, I told her, I am going through a lot in my life. I don't even know what to think. And she told me, Abi, shida zako ni nyingi, but let me connect you to this group. And that's how I connected with my coach, and my life began to change from there. Because I discovered that I used to blame everyone for my problems, and the problem was actually me. My beliefs, what I believed in, my fears. I was just attracting things I was afraid of, because actually what you fear so much in life, you attract. Do you know that? What you fear so much in life, you attract. And so I had so many aha moments. Like my coach says something and I'm like, oh, I've been fearing that all my life. And so it has just come. And then she tells me, so did your husband cause that? No, who did? Me. And at some point I would really cry, because I'm thinking, how lost was I? How lost was I? And so I took that journey, started like Rispa. So you may be wondering why she's saying that in the same cohort. Rispa took the healing and forgiveness journey. She took the becoming her journey. A bit similar, but with a few differences. So for me, I also started with that healing journey, and then went on to what my coach called the reparenting. Of course, coaches and counselors call programs differently. So I did that it was I think I took about a year, even though I was not meant to take a year. But I thank God for my coach. She was very patient, very patient. I was drowning in unforgiveness. I was drowning in pain. I was drowning in anger. I was drowning in so many things that I needed to let go. But I was too stubborn to let go. Too stubborn. Because I found validation in that pain. And I remember one morning going to work. There's a preacher called Christine Kane. So my routine going to work was crying on my way to work, go to the parking lot, make up, and then smile, get to the office. So everybody knew I have a perfect marriage, a perfect family, a perfect everything. But I knew my life was crumbling. So right in that car, I decided, let me tune into something. So Christine Kane popped up. And she was preaching from the sermon of, is it Luke 5? The man at the well of Bethesda. And he said, when Jesus asked this man, do you want to be well? Instead of the man saying yes, what does the man say? I'm waiting for someone to... Yeah, so many excuses. And so she asked, are you like this man? Maybe you are actually, this man may have been thinking, so here people come and give me some money, maybe I raise 1,000 bob per day. Sasa itabidi niende shamba, nikalime or do something. And she asked, do you really want to be well? And I went to the office that day thinking, do I want to be well? Am I sure I really want to be well? And so that's when now I connected to my coach and decided it's true. I have to choose a different journey. And so that is why when I look back, I am actually amazed that the same woman that was drowning in pain, the same woman that was drowning in anger, is the same woman God uses to transform other people's lives. And so I can only give glory to God, because by God's grace, no woman has passed through my hands who is the same. They come crying, they walk out different. Not to brag, just to thank God. And so I really thank God, because he transformed that pain into something more valuable. And so when I look back, I look at myself and look at how I was blaming everyone, look at how I was drowning and actually comfortable. You know, there's a way you can be, I think Rispa mentioned it, you can be comfortable in your pain. You can be so comfortable in your pain. And sometimes, even when the pain goes away, you go looking for it. You know, you can actually go looking for pain. One of the things I remember us talking with her in our sessions is, for example, if you come from a chaotic family, and then you get married to this man who came from a very peaceful family, your mind will work very hard to create chaos in that marriage. Because it's your normal, it's your familiar. And the brain does not look for the comfortable, the brain actually looks for the familiar. And so when we are used to maybe chaos, when we are used to fighting, and then we go to this space that there are no fights, we are wondering, something is abnormal. So your brain begins to hunt for why I need some chaos. This is not usual for me. And so when you are aware of that, you actually get to catch yourself. You get to know that this is me, the familiar me, looking for chaos. And I sank in bitterness and pain. And one of the things that happened to me, you know, pain actually hurts you more than it hurts the people who hurt you. Isn't that true? It hurts you more than them. And so for me, it was a story of being hurt, but I'm thinking, when I'm hurt, the other person is actually feeling it. So I'm validating it through what they are feeling. And I would hold on to it. And I realized my own belief system was actually the one killing me, was the one destroying me. So why are we here today? If you asked, why are we here today? Today, our objective is to actually stir up that desire in us to heal your relationship first with yourself. To heal your relationship first with yourself. Not even the other person. That's why we said, those titles of Mama Nani, today we are dropping them. Temporarily too, paka jioni. And then we will pick them again. We just want to, like Rispa said, today she got time off for herself. And so we are here for ourselves. And then secondly, to help us discover areas in our lives that we need to evolve from the old patterns. There are familiar patterns that sometimes take over our lives and we are not even aware of it. And so we keep moving with those patterns. And then rise into self-leadership, where you can lead yourself, and self-responsibility, where, like me, you stop blaming anyone else for what you've gone through and begin to ask, what can I do to change my life? What is my role? Not in whatever has happened, because sometimes women, we blame ourselves and we begin to say, maybe if I would have dressed better, my husband would not have cheated on me, for example. I deal with that a lot, so that's why I'm giving it as an example. Or if I had just gone a little early, I would not have missed this. But we begin to see, yes, I may have played a role, but you know, you being hurt was not your responsibility. But you coming out of the hurt is actually your own responsibility. And so picking it up and saying, I hold the bull by its horns and I must keep moving. I cannot get stuck here. And again, like our theme says, to give ourselves the love we deserve. Have you given yourself that love? Have you maybe expected it from others and never even actually given it to yourself? Today we give a rose, but have we ever given ourselves that rose? If I'm expecting a cup of coffee from my husband, can I buy myself a cup of coffee? And on that, I would actually say congratulations for being here, because there are so many people who said that event is very expensive. I wonder if it really is. I wonder if it really is. because we are not used to investing in ourselves as women. We rarely do. And I remember a time when everything was breaking in my life. Now, when I started discovering myself, I realized I had countable dresses. Not that I should have so many, but I had countable. Why? Because when I went to the market, whose clothes did I buy? Whose health? Husband. Whose shoes? I had one pair of shoes, a red one. It was a red one with a strap, and it was actually hurting me. But I never bought anything for myself. Now again, in that period, I said, so I'm going to love myself. And then I started loving myself the wrong way. So one time I go to work, and we used to be given a bonus at the end of the year. So mine that year was 18,000. Guess what I did? I just turned, it was along Thika Road in Nairobi, went to Linton's Beauty, sat down, bought a foundation worth 7,000, a powder worth 4,000, and 18,000 literally ilishia hapo. Because I'm trying to prove a point. I'm trying to love myself. So the question is that the love I deserved? So I go home the next morning, kwani hata najua kupaka hiyo makeup saa hizo. Hata sijui. So I apply it. You know who I'm trying to prove a point to? Can you guess? Yes. And then I do it, and then he tells me, hey, na unakaa funny. Then I wonder, my goodness, I thought this was going to make me attractive. Now again, I look like a scarecrow. So I'm there, and karibu sana. I'm there, and I begin to see that this is actually, I threw them away. The funny thing is that 18,000 I threw it away. But if you would have told me to come to an event like this one, oh my goodness, it was expensive. It was very, very expensive. And so I was giving myself the wrong kind of love. And so today we want to see, are we giving ourselves the love that we deserve? You know, for a long time, women have dimmed their light, actually for others to rise. Wives who dim their own light so that their husbands are actually seen. One lady told me, sasa nikiinuka, si atakuwa threatened. And I wondered, is that really how things should be? Women have played small in places that we were required to play big. For a long time, we have betrayed ourselves. We have accepted things that we knew very, very well. We didn't deserve them. They were not for us. That if our authentic us stood up, like if this was the authentic me and this was me, and I chose something, the authentic me is there asking, hey, Abby, did you just choose that? Did you just choose that? We have betrayed ourselves. We have remained silent in places where our voices were needed. It could be in family, it could be at work, in any space, but we remain silent. Maybe for fear of intimidation, maybe because we are afraid of hurting others. People pleasing is such a big thing among us as women, sometimes in men. And we actually act as our own big enemies. Like enemies to ourselves and enemies to others. That is, if today she rose up and said she wanted to do something, I will be the first one to say, kwani anajiona aje? Are we not supposed to support each other? Not even just in politics, but in the many things that we do. And so even for you being here to support this call is actually something I am grateful for. Because otherwise we would have said, hawa watu, I don't know, the things that people say. And so we have to reach a point where we say, not anymore. Tell your neighbor, not anymore. Hamjaisema vizuri. We have to reach a point that we say, no, enough is enough. And this is our season to choose ourselves. A season to choose you. a season to choose the life that you deserve, a season to choose that love that you deserve. And so, is it easy? No. Is it possible? Yes. It's not easy, but it's possible. The 1 year that I worked with my coach was tough, because discovering things that I have, it's comfortable to blame other people. Oh, it's comfortable. If I would not have been like this, if my father. So me, I used to blame, when my finances were an issue, I used to think my father should have done this like the way other children, those children who have something to start with. Wamepewa mahali pa kuanzia. I used to think my father, hapana. So, but if I keep thinking like that, would I ever grow? So, as women, we are held back by things like fear. We are afraid. And fear, they say, is an acronym for false evidence appearing real. That something that is not true manifests itself as true until you begin to believe it, until you think it's actually real. What again Rispa said, that stories that you tell yourself and you believe them. If you tell yourself a lie so many times, for a long time, you actually believe it. Like for me, I had told myself I'm a very ugly woman. By the way, I used to think I'm very ugly. Am I? So, I don't know why. I don't even know where I got that narrative from. But I told myself that narrative for a very long time until I began believing it. And we are also held back by lack of confidence. Confidence to speak for ourselves. Confidence to walk into that room and stand tall. Confidence to just rise up to the occasion and say, this is me and I'm here because for this cause. Because when I started this journey as a coach, I was one of the most afraid of cameras. Kuangalia camera hivi. Hi, how? I was so afraid. My coach, now I have the other coach I have my Kenyan coach and my other coach who took me through the training to be a coach. He told me, take your phone, record a video every day and send it nowhere for a month. Just for a month. You only send it to me as a proof that you did it, because otherwise I would not have done it. But getting to a point where I could do my own YouTube channel, Coach Blessed Abby, please subscribe if you haven't. Getting to a point where I could show up in those rooms, it's because that confidence had to rise. Unforgiveness and bitterness is a killer in women. I listened to a preacher on YouTube the other day say about this woman who was dying of cancer in hospital. And so I've told this story again, so you may have heard it. And her father, who was the pastor to the family, was going to see them. And so on the way, he asked God, do you have a message for me to tell this family? And so God told him, go and tell the lady, if she forgives her husband, she will walk out of hospital cancer-free. And so he went and told the lady, if you forgive your husband, you will walk out of here cancer-free. And the lady said, no, I cannot forgive him. Apparently, the man had cheated, and the lady had vowed never to forgive him. And she actually died. She died. Did she have to die? She chose to die. When I was going through my unforgiveness, my bitterness, and all that, you're welcome, I had so much acne on my face. So much acne, like very bad acne, which contributed to my lack of self-worth. So I would go ask my husband, unaonaje uso inakaa vibaya? So you expect him to say inakaa vibaya. Now if he says inakaa vizuri, again I'm like, you're lying. So chaos start. That he's not telling me the truth. If he told me the truth, chaos start. So where was he safe? He was not safe. But believe you me, I went through the forgiveness journey. It was supposed to be a 4-week journey. I think that's why I'm very patient with my clients. Sometimes they are supposed to take 10 weeks. We take almost a year. No, I'm not saying you come and take a year. But that patience, because I took, I think, 8 weeks, double. Until one day I remember her asking me, by the way, which session is this? And I was even ashamed to say which session it was. But one day we did a challenge. She took us through a challenge. She had a group, a support group. And it was called what was it called? I can't remember the name. But on this day, we were doing a decluttering challenge. So on Saturday, we decluttered spaces. Like, I was one of the people, ukiingia kwa desk yangu kwa ofisi. Oh my goodness, everything is everywhere. And you know that portrays how you are inside actually. And then at home, things were everywhere. My bedroom, I don't know how my husband survived. God have mercy on that man. He went through hell with my chaos. So that day, I'm busy decluttering my drawers. Remember, I'm expectant. And I hear like a voice telling me, Abby, the way you're letting these things off your drawers, why don't you let off this bitterness and pain? And at that moment, you see the way people say, I felt something leave me. That's how I felt. And I called her. No, I texted her and told her, I think I've finally been able to let go. She actually cried. Now here is the good news. 2 weeks, fanyeni hivi. 2. The acne was gone. Totally gone. Like I was poisoning my system. I used to have sores. I even have marks. Like there's a time I was supposed to take my son for clinic and I could not go because sores were just on my feet. Zinatokea, zinabust. So I can't step down well. And they just disappeared.
Maybe you can help us. Were you using something or you just forgive and it just happened like that?
No, it just went. Actually, it's that thing that you go to the mirror and you're like, my face is clear. My sores are gone. You know, we focus on problems. Mungu akikufanyia miracle hatuoni. So I just realized one day, I don't have these things. They are gone. They are gone. And since, yes.
Remember when I started, I used to have those things I showed you. And you told me you also used to have them. And when I let go of the thing I had, they disappeared. I even have marks. They are here. They used to come out. And here too, the sickness starts from inside. I had them on my feet.
Yeah, I also have marks. Ni vile tukienda swimo, siku ile tuenda swimo. Utaona. Sasa siwezi toa nguo. But those are the things women suffer from. Low self-worth. Believing that, for me, I used to go to work, maybe dressed like this, but I would wait for somebody to validate me and say, Abby, you're looking good. If no one said, I'm looking bad. And I had this particular friend who to me was looking better than me every day. And you know, when you believe that, your brain works to prove it right. So every day she would say something that would make me actually know. I'm not like, she would say, the one who did your hair should have done it like this. Oh my goodness. And she didn't mean anything bad, but it was just proving me that something I'm thinking about is true. People pleasing, that we are doing things just for the sake of other people and not us. And then childhood traumas, the patterns that we carry from our childhood. And a lot of what happens in our lives is actually from our childhood. And those are the things women carry in themselves. So, you know, an interesting thing about human beings is that we believe we are not supposed to have problems. That's what we believe. But is it true? Problems are there. Even Jesus said, when you go through trials, did he say if? That means problems and trials are going to be there. So if we drop that belief that we are not supposed to have problems, because that's where we get stuck. We keep wondering. When my daughter lost her hearing, I kept asking God, I've been serving you. Is this how you reward your people? I've been a Christian Union chair lady. I have been this, I have been that. God, you are so unfair. I used to tell him, God, you are so unfair. In fact, there is a time, that word, that all things work together for good, I would argue with it like, no. What good is in this? What good is in this? And I had a preacher, her name is Priscilla Shire, you may know her. She said, there are three positions that as human beings we are in when it comes to challenges and problems. You're either in one, like maybe Wangeshi has just told her she's going through a storm, or you're getting out of one, or you're getting into another. Like life never gives you a break. It may not be something tangible. Like for me, isn't my daughter's condition a storm I go through every day? So it's just that over time, I have learned how to live with it, even as I trust God for the miracle. And I remember her teacher telling me, when I finally accepted to take her to a deaf school, her teacher telling me that, you know, sign language is a language like any other, so go to school and learn it and let your daughter have life. Because if you don't, you're going to deny her life. And I thank God because she lives a normal life. The only challenge she has is like now she will not hear what we are saying. So in the evening, I have very many questions to answer. Why was that lady saying this? Why was that lady crying? Why? She will ask all those questions. So I want you to remember this. In life, pain will come. It will not knock our doors. People die. Things happen. But then, suffering is a choice that we make. You don't have to suffer from what you're going through. You can choose a better way out. You can use your pain to actually build you or let it destroy you. And there's a guy I love. I would call him my icon, Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins says, 3 things will affect you in life. 1 is what you focus on. And I will add to what he says, what you focus on grows. If you focus on pain, pain grows. If you focus on being grateful, what you're grateful for will grow. And then the second thing, so I've said the first thing is what you focus on. The second thing is the meaning that you give to the things that you focus on. I use again Rispa's example. My husband has come home at midnight. So before he comes, I have sat down and cooked a story that he's somewhere with a woman. What do? I start suffering. I suffer until he comes and says, by the way, my car broke down and my battery, my phone battery also ran out. So how do I start feeling? Shame on me. Because I have been telling myself terrible things all through. And then the third thing is the results that we will choose to create with what happens in our lives. That it can be painful, it can be tough, but we can create something out of it. One thing my coach told me, and I will tell you today, is that what makes us suffer is not what we go through. It's our perception and the meaning that we give to what we go through in life. That when I, for example, give my daughter's situation a meaning that says God doesn't love me, wouldn't I suffer? But if I say, now I gave it another meaning, I said, I remember one day walking, because what I used to do, by then I was not driving. At that point we had a break, our car had rolled, and so we didn't have a car for like a year. So again, the enemy trying to steal this man through accidents. And I would delay at work so that there was a 1.2 kilometer walk to our house. That was my crying time. I would cry. Until one day I told God, before my daughter is mine, she is yours. And I'm surrendering her to you today. Whatever you are doing in her life, please do it, Lord. I'm no longer a hindrance. Welcome. And so, since I changed that meaning, my suffering ceased. I decided to enjoy her the way she is. And so you have to decide that you're not going to be a victim to the circumstances in your life. You're not going to be a victim. It's a decision. You wake up and say, yes, I agree. You don't deny. You say, yes, I agree. This has happened, but I am not going to be a victim. I am not going to be a victim to what has happened in my life. So today I want us to make 4 firm decisions among many others that we will make. 1, and I want us to say this as I say it. 1, I am done betraying myself. I'm not convinced. I am done betraying myself.
I am done betraying myself.
Secondly, I am done selling myself short.
I am done selling myself short.
Thirdly, I am worthy of the best things life has to offer.
I am worthy of the best things life has to offer.
And fourth, I am worthy of love.
I am worthy of love.
So those 4 things are decisions I would want us to come out with here, having decided that I am done betraying myself. I am done selling myself short. Are there spaces that you sell yourself short? I am worthy of the best things in life. Rispa told us that she wouldn't believe that she would wear, today she's told me she's in high heels, which she has not been in for years. Ebu tupigie hiyo makofi. And also being worthy of love. Being worthy of love. One of the things, when we were doing money wounds, one of the things I suffered from was I was even afraid of going into a shop and asking for the price of something. Because I was so afraid they would tell me a price, a high price. And I would believe I'm not worth it. And if I bought it, I would go home and begin to think, now watu wamenigonga. Now watu, in fact, ni waongo sana. Only to realize it's my money wounds. So nowadays, I have the courage to walk into a shop, ask, and be told this one is 7,000 and say, wow, thank you. I'll come for it. Whether I'm coming for it or not. At least I went there. So, thinking about the love we deserve. This one is for us to reflect. How do you show up for yourself? How do you show up for yourself? How do you show yourself love? If you were to relate with yourself, like if you was put here and you are looking at yourself and you are asked, how do you love this person? How do you show that person love? Is there anything that you do to show yourself love? When true love comes your way, do you accept it? Do you even notice this is true love? Do you block it for whatever reason? How do you relate with yourself? Do you have a relationship with yourself? How do you talk to yourself? How do you... I used to knock my head and say, Abby, you're so stupid. You're the most foolish person on earth. That's what I used to tell myself. I think I was lying. And so I just want you to tell your neighbor, how do you show love to yourself? When is the last time you really showed yourself some love? When? When did you show yourself some love? Here, Flora is saying so many times. Did we get those answers? No. Some say they have not shown themselves love. Some are not sure. Some are not sure. Sindio? Because today I just want to challenge us to show ourselves love. And let me wrap it up quickly. We have really eaten into our lunchtime. The 5 C's that you need in life. Now I look like a great speaker when I say 5 C's. 5 C's. Hallelujah, 5 C's. The first one is clarity. Are you clear of what you want, where you're going, what you deserve, Unless we have that clarity, we will struggle. The second one is consistency. After you're sure of what you want to do. For example, I got clarity. In school, I didn't do coaching. I did agriculture. I'm a BSc agriculture student. That's what I did at the university. But then this is answering to my call. So when I got this call, and I call a session, no one comes. I call a meeting, no one comes. What held me to continue doing? And thank God, the same husband who was my enemy some time back has been my friend through the journey. I would go to him and tell him, I think I need to go back and look for a job. This thing is not working. And he would tell me, Abby, I'm seeing you speaking to women at H.E.R Stadium, and you're here telling me the way you want to give up. You're not serious. Then I would go and think, hey, H.E.R Stadium. Then I do another thing. And then it reaches a point, and I just start getting this call. Hi, Coach Abby, come speak to us on TV. And I'm like, oh, you mean that day was to come? Hi, Coach Abby, come speak to this group. Oh, you mean that day was to come? The third C is courage. And courage doesn't mean that you're not afraid. It just means you do it afraid. You do it anyway. You move forward and do it. Not because you're not afraid. You walk with your fear and actually do it. And another icon of mine, her name is Lisa Nichols, she says, you get into a car and fear was on the driver's seat. You tell fear you have driven this car for a very long time. Now get into the trunk or the boot as we call it here. Allow me to drive this car. So has the fear gone? No, it's still there. It's somewhere behind you, but you're going. You're going. And then confidence. The fourth one is confidence. And this is something you grow. So confidence is not something we are actually born with. It's something we grow. If we are privileged to grow in families that inspired confidence in us, then we are lucky. But if we are not, then we have to grow it. And then the fifth one is calmness. Your ships will not come floating to you on waters that are troubled. Ships want a calm sea. So we cultivate inner calmness, and that will take us and hold us until we get to where we are going. So in conclusion, I will challenge us, and I will say this like to you as a person. Look at the story you tell yourself and ask yourself, is it true? Because most of the time, I was telling people that when a client comes to my office or wherever online and they are talking, I do listen to two versions of what they are saying. One, what they are saying, and two, the perception. Because most of what we say, the stories that we tell ourselves, are actually not true. Half of what we are telling ourselves is just a perception. It's not true. And then secondly, trust yourself to take action. Even if it was one bit of action. The other day, in our church, Flora will also reckon with this, Sarah Kay came to minister to us, and she told us that one thing she did, she would go to town in Nairobi, cry, and then rise up and think, what am I going to do? Go and see Pastor so-and-so. And then that's how she would like fly outside the country. So sometimes when we are there crying every day and not taking action, you know, like I was thinking of these lepers in the Bible who decided that if we go, we will die. If we sit here, we will die. So what do? Let's go. And then God magnifies their steps. So what is that nudge in your heart that you've been hearing? Do this, do that, do that. And then maybe fear keeps you off, or something else keeps you from doing it. So take action. And once you've taken action, 3, be consistent. Even when it doesn't make sense, keep going. Sometimes you go to the gym. For those who go to the gym, you work out for 1 month, you step on the scale, nothing. Month 2, nothing. So one day my instructor said, if you keep looking at that scale, you will stop coming here. And so I had to stop because I was there. I want to lose 5 kgs and I'm always losing 2. I don't know where these others come from anyway. So consistency will keep you going. I finish by affirming you that 1, remember you are blessed. Just like our MC told us to breathe in and breathe out, breath itself. One of the things Rispa will tell you is that I used to tell her, when you wake up in the morning, step your feet barefoot on ground. Breathe in and breathe out deeply and remind yourself that breath in itself is a blessing. Didn't we see that during COVID? When oxygen cost millions. So we are blessed. And 2, you are enough. Just as you are enough. You don't need to be better than you are. You are enough. All you need is to show up. And 3rd, you matter. Even here today, you matter. I have a client who keeps telling me, Abby, never look like your problems. Hata kama uko na shida mingi, never look like your problems. Always look like you are beyond the problems. And then this is my last statement to you. The quality of your life, relationships, and choices will never rise above the quality of relationship you have with yourself. The quality of your life, relationship, and choices will never rise above the quality of relationship you have with yourself. And so when we say the love she deserves, let's give ourselves that love. People only mirror you. So when people are doing things that they are doing against you or circumstances, ask yourself, what are they mirroring that is actually in me that I may need to take action on? And so I pray that today, even as we will be leaving this place in the evening, I pray that we will live out with that conviction that we are enough, we are blessed, and we are highly favored. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Before you sit down, let us appreciate her one more time. I'd like to give this opportunity to the ladies here. If at all you have any question to ask her, this is your time. But as you think about it, let me just ask, if I am that person who is looking to heal and, overcome whatever I've gone through, how do I start? Where do I start?
I think it starts by acknowledging that you need it. Most of the time, we don't acknowledge first that we need it. We keep denying that we need that. But when we acknowledge that we need it, then that's where it starts. And then now, when that help shows up, we don't block it. Because for me, by the way, in that group, my coach's group, I was there for 4 months. They would put things I would not read. I would open and see 200 chat and think these women are very idle. They have nothing to do. Yet anafunza watu mambo ya mindset change. Me, I'm just drowning in my problems until that day. You know, there is that day that you hit rock bottom, that you have no choice but to show up for yourself. Until I got there. So show up, and when that help comes, don't resist it. Because one thing I know is that the day you decide, this is what I want to do, somehow you are connected. You're connected to that help. Most of the time we block it, but we are actually connected. Yeah.
Is there anybody who has any question? Yes, please. Let us. Oh, we have a mic over there. We can use this.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Let me just smile because so far so good. Out of her testimony, out of the presentation that you've made, I can see myself somewhere.
Wow.
And you sharing your story, I think we are 80%, I am 80% in your story. Kidogo tu zinashikana na what I've been going through. But seeing you strong this morning, this afternoon, I am encouraged. And I know I will rise.
Thank you.
But my question is, have you gone through all that? There comes a time when you start now blaming yourself. Unaanza kujiambia, could you have been the problem as to why those problems arose? Like you spoke of death. At some point, na connect with my story because there is death in the process that has happened amidst all this storm. Na najipata najiuliza maswali mingi sana ati could I have been the problem? I am blamed already. Currently I am blamed because naulizwa maswali mingi like, Wangeshi, you are not supposed to do that in a time like this. But I decided to choose myself, my peace and my sanity. Na nikajiambia, yes, you are there to blame me, but I choose myself. If we have to come back to that story, well and good, I will share it, but not now. But this guilt trip, nimejipeleka for so long to a point, napata nimepotea kidogo. How do you deal with the blame? How do you deal with that time when you find yourself, you are just seated alone? Unajiuliza, Wangeshi, could you have handled it differently? Are you the problem? Are you the solution to all this? Maswali mingi sana. How do you deal with that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking and also for the vulnerability. I will also pose a question to you. More than what people are blaming you, how much do you also blame yourself? So somehow there is a bit of self-blame. Yes. Because you mentioned death. When my father died in 2024, I asked myself, was I there for him as I should have been? Did I do enough? Until someone came and told us something that to me answered my question. And maybe I can repeat the same to you. He said, and I was just telling someone that this morning, that as human beings, we are eternal by nature. You know, we don't die. We are eternal. I don't know what all of us believe, but that's what I believe. We are eternal by nature. And so he said, in human, does anyone here wake up and say, so I'm planning to die today? Somehow we plan to keep living. Even when my dad was in hospital, we could see the clock is ticking. And we could see there is some money in his M-Pesa, and we are thinking, si utupe tu pin sasa. And he kept saying, I will give you the pin when we go home. And he never gave us until he died. And the money was on his phone even as we struggled with burial expenses. because we never see death. But human beings, we also think that we are supposed to die at an old age. You know, the way Abraham died at 900 and something years. I wish that was our story. So no one plans to die. And when death happens, I realized that we cannot stop it. If we were given an opportunity, we would stop it. But you can't. Because the journey of that person, there's this preacher I watched when I was going through, because when my dad died, when somebody dies, we go through different phases. We are angry, we are mad, we bargain, we have so many things. Counselors will tell you. And so at some point I was actually angry with him. Why did you die? You always told us to be strong. Why would you die and leave us? And so I listened to a man on YouTube who said the wife was a preacher. When she was sick of cancer, she was praying for the sick na wanapona. Lakini yeye alikufa. So before she died, the man went and sat near a bridge and told God, there is a story between you and my wife that I know nothing about. Something between her spirit and you that I know nothing about. And so I believe you're having a conversation with her spirit, a plan with her spirit that I know nothing about. So for the time you gave her to me as my wife, because she was never even mine, I am grateful. But let your will be done. And when he was able to do that, he went back to hospital and the wife was gone. I think he released the wife. So when it comes to issues death, we blame ourselves and it's normal. But we are not to blame. Because if we were given the opportunity, we would have done something. So the first point is to first forgive yourself. And then you will naturally attract that forgiveness from others. But if you keep blaming yourself, then the other people will only mirror what is going on in your heart. And so release it first yourself, forgive yourself, whether you are responsible or not, because sometimes it's true that we are, but there's nothing much we can do. There are things, there is this circle that says the things that are in my control and those that are without. If we keep living for what we are, the person I was talking to this morning was telling me that she has an auntie who has been childless for years. And so she got twins. So they got to 9 months and they were given, injected the measles, and for some reason it reacted on them. So the one who was badly off was in HDU, so they attended to that one more. The one who was okay at home is actually the one who died. So she keeps blaming herself. I should have done something. But did she know? She didn't know. So we can only do ourselves, our best at our human level. Yeah, I think people are hungry. Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been a blessing to you. During this event, something beautiful was born. The Becoming Her Women's Circle, Nakuru. A safe physical space to reflect, connect, heal, and grow. Join other like-minded women in the healing, evolving, and rising journey. Meetings will happen monthly from April to October 2026, then culminate with our Celebrating Her annual Ladies Conference, where all successful participants will graduate and be awarded with certificates of completion. See the description box for contact details for more information. I'm looking forward to connecting with you. For those outside Nakuru, our online option continues with our next intake in May. If you're new here, please subscribe for more inspiring content. Like and share widely. We would also like to hear from you. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section. See you in the circle or the next video. God bless you.